Well, good morning, everyone. I am Tim Kernan, and welcome to Gamecast Radio Sports Talk. Saturday morning, a beautiful morning here in Southwest Ohio. And yes, as you can see, the great Mike Freshwater is not with us here in studio, but Mike is joining us via the Gamecast Radio hotline. Mike, do we have you there?
Yes, I'm on the Gamecast Radio hotline. I love that.
Yes, you are.
I am here, about 800, maybe 1,000 miles away in sunny Southwest Florida, and I'm anxious to catch up.
Yeah, we certainly missed you last night, as most of the listeners know. But if you're just joining us, Mike and I also broadcast for a local high school here in town, Alter High School. We do their football games and basketball games. Last night, Alter had their second round playoff game against Indian Hill, and were very impressive, Mike. 31-6. Of course, Dave Homan took your place last night on the broadcast. Did a nice job. Dave did a great job. And the Knights looked very impressive. I don't kind of want to overstate the point, Mike, but their defense, the last half of the season, and especially the last couple of games, has just been phenomenal.
Yeah, and the offense is coming along. But if you if you look back over the past 23 or 24 years of straight of Ultra playoff appearances, defense and running the ball has been what's taken them, into the playoffs and deep into the playoffs in several years. And so it sounded like last night, and listening to you guys, that obviously defense was a big part of that game, but also the offense, which has continued to improve week over week, did more than its share to help the team along. And so I think you get this deep into the you get this deep into the playoffs, Tim. I think you got to have a good balance between two of them, between the both of them, and they're playing somebody next week where it's absolutely, of the utmost importance to be able to be really good on all three aspects of the game to have a chance to advance.
Yeah, the offense, and I don't want to leave them out, and special teams. Coach Willett's doing just a phenomenal job with the special teams. But right. The offense was fantastic. The running game was absolutely clicking. They are going to take on Clinton Massey. Clinton Massey defeated McNicholas last night, who is a member of the same conference that Alter plays in. Very good team, always well coached. You and I have talked about it before, but McNicholas is kind of one of those sneaky teams. You just never know what you're going to get from them, but you're always going to get a tough ball game from them. They almost pulled out the win last night, and I really thought they were going to get the win, but it went into overtime, and Clinton Massey came away with a 1-point win.
Yeah, and so you have the matchup we've all been talking about, and quite honestly, when you look at the other bracket, I think a lot of people think that game really will be the regional championship game, because the winner of the Clinton Massey Alter game is going to be a favorite to win in the regional championship.
Yeah, Mike, and Alter, they made it to the state semifinal. I believe that was 2020 or 2021. I can't remember. I think it was 2020, actually. I think it was the COVID year. And they haven't been back to that point since. So kind of exciting. I mean, they have been certainly at this level, but they made it to the second round last year, lost to Taft, but they advanced to the third round this year. And you're absolutely right. They have a chance of getting to the regional if they win next week. And, that's a great accomplishment. And I think sometimes people undervalue when you reach a certain point. If you don't win state, then it's a big disappointment. Certainly you want to do that. But I think that this football team has already accomplished a lot, and anything going forward is just fantastic. Don't you think?
Yeah, I agree. And if you think back on a couple of their losses, they were really games they probably could have won. I mean, they had chances to win. And of course, one of the losses was a close one to number 2 D3 Hamilton Baden, who's still alive. And so, all things being considered, even if you look, and I'm not much of a moral victory guy, but those losses were quote unquote quality losses to playoff teams in divisions ahead of Alder. And so, all things considered, no matter what happens now, I think you can say it was a very successful season.
Absolutely. So now, Mike, I kind of want to dive into kind of the national news. Of course, the Michigan cheating scandal is still going on. Jim Harbaugh's program is being accused of conducting advanced scouting and filming sidelines in order to steal signs from other teams. And that particular, if that is really going on, that is a direct and clear violation of NCAA rules. They're still gathering information, but I'm at the point, Mike, where you see everything on social media. I really don't know what to believe at this point, because you never know. I mean, with AI going on right now, people could be doctoring things, but it seems to be getting worse for Michigan. I kind of wanted to get your perspective on it, because it just seems to be spiraling in the wrong direction for the University of Michigan.
Yeah, I thought when video or pictures surfaced of allegedly of this Connor Stalions being on the sidelines at the Central Michigan game to scout Michigan State, the fact that Jim McElvain, Central Michigan's head coach, brought this up in his press conference earlier this past week, gave some validity to the possibility that really did happen. And so they're doing their own kind of research on it. They have now admitted that whoever that is not anybody that was supposed to be down there on the sidelines and allowed or permitted into the game like that. But I feel like that has to be like the bottom, right? The worst of it.
Yeah.
And nothing has come out since as far as new developments, or in terms of all of that. So, I think the full cat's out of the bag, and the NCAA is investigating. I'm sure individual schools at some level are conducting their own investigations, and this does not look good overall. But from what I've been told or could see, Michigan's administration is standing behind Harbaugh right now, and so we'll see. But I think it's going to get to the point potentially where the Big Ten, more than the NCAA, because they can act faster, is going to have to do something here relatively soon. Just even if it's just in terms of making an announcement about what could happen here, because I don't think anybody wants this thing to play out all the way through the end of the season, and then say 2 or 3 months down the road that Michigan's going to forfeit those games, and potential national championship if they actually go that far, right? I mean, nobody wants to be part of that. So
No.
It's going to be really interesting next 3 weeks. But I will tell you this: leading up to the Ohio State-Michigan game, with all of this stuff especially going on, if that isn't the most viewed college football game telecast ever in the history of NCAA football, you know what? I'll be amazed.
Yeah.
Because this thing is going to be extremely dramatic. Let me say one more thing about it, Tim, and because this week, if true, and I saw a Outkick headline where they said that Michigan, quote unquote, has evidence that Ryan Day's family or friends of Ryan Day are behind the whole idea that somebody told on Michigan. So I just think leads up to that game, all the drama around it is going to be absolutely amazing, don't you?
Yeah, I really do, Mike. And I'll tell you what, that might be the most fans Ohio State has ever had for a game in their existence, don't you think?
Yeah, it's going to be Michigan versus the world, truly.
Yes, absolutely.
Not Ohio versus the world.
Mike, I thought Joel Klatt, who is a broadcaster for Fox, had a good comment, and I kind of mentioned this to you last week, but he said, and I quote, "Every infraction should be handled with the same process. To demand otherwise is a fool's errand. It doesn't matter who or what. Gather evidence, present the evidence, respond, judgment, and then the punishment." He goes, that's how it should work. And I kind of agree with him. I hope they don't jump to conclusions. I want them to find out the truth. And if Michigan has been doing this, they absolutely should be punished. But I don't want them, excuse me, to be convicted in the course of public opinion. I want the process to run through, but as you just mentioned, I want the NCAA to do it right now and take care of this and not drag this on certainly beyond the end of the season. I think they need to find a verdict now.
If there was ever a case where timing was really, really important to the NCAA, now is that time. And if they can't do it relatively quickly, do something. I mean, I don't know. I mean, that's to say what Joel Klatt said, and then to look at the history of the NCAA,
Yeah.
and how long it takes for them to develop investigations and announce outcomes is a conflict. It's a conflict because only because of the timing. I mean, I totally agree with you. If I was a Michigan fan, I would exactly what I would want. Right? I would want to know the truth, because you can't believe everything you see on social media. For
Absolutely.
Sure. But it's a tough spot for the NCAA to be in. Will the Big Ten do something? Because that is something that they can absolutely do. And don't forget, Michigan self-reported themselves, quote unquote, earlier in the season on that cheeseburger recruiting deal that led to
the hamburger infraction.
Yes, the 2 or 3 game suspension Harbaugh had earlier in the season. You know, Michigan self-imposed that. So, I mean, I guess it's not entirely impossible that Michigan can come to some conclusion and they can take action, which could be a suspension of Harbaugh, but allow the games to play with an interim coach.
Yeah.
Which, to me, you know, the players on the team, the kids on the team didn't do anything. I mean, they're not at fault here. And everybody.
Yeah, that's what's a shame about all this.
Yes. And so that might be a decent compromise, but you know, even if that happens, I think Michigan would challenge that in court and potentially get some kind of an exemption there that would allow Harbaugh to continue to coach. But it's serious drama, and it's why we love this stuff, and not to mention the game itself on the field, but we love all this drama and everything that's going on. And for us here in Ohio, especially because it's Michigan.
Yeah. Well, we'll certainly keep an eye on that and see what happens going forward. But we'll continue to discuss that here on the show. Mike, I wanted to move on to the first college football playoff rankings. They came out last Tuesday night, I believe it was. And I have to say I kind of agree, really, right now with the top 4 that they have, Ohio State, Georgia, Michigan, and Florida State. And just on the outside are Washington and Oregon. Washington may have an argument possibly to be in that top 4, but honestly, there's a lot of football to be played yet, so they can certainly work their way into it. But I thought, as far as the rankings go, what they came out with initially, I thought was pretty decent. And I'll just give those to you real quick, and then I'll let you comment, Mike. But Ohio State was number 1, then Georgia, Michigan, Florida State, Washington, Oregon, Texas was at number 7, Alabama 8, Oklahoma 9, Ole Miss 10, Penn State 11. Missouri was 12. I was a little bit surprised at that they were that high. But, you know, their record indicates that they probably should be. Louisville at 13, LSU at 14, and Notre Dame at 15.
Yeah, I don't disagree with it either, especially when you hear or read about the process they went through and the criteria behind what they used to rank them. Ohio State, with the 2 top 10 wins, obviously beat Notre Dame and Penn State, deserves just a lot, and has not stumbled against anybody else along the way. Deserves to be there. Are they the best team? I don't know. I think offensively there's still a lot of question marks. Although the return of Travion Henderson made a big difference last weekend, but I think you know, if you ask me right now, and it's hard to say because they haven't played a tough schedule, but Michigan probably is the best team in the country. Georgia has some definite weaknesses, but yeah, I can't disagree. I'm going to say one thing about that though. The team that nobody's talking about, that's down the list a little bit there, that worries me more than anything else, is Alabama.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say that. Yeah,
I mean they're
just getting better and better. They really are.
Yeah, and they have a tremendous opportunity in front of them to control their own destiny. If they win out, which means they beat Georgia in a national championship game, they're in. And so they're lurking in the weeds. Nobody's really talking about
They
them.
are. You're absolutely
and,
right.
and they're pretty good, and they're getting better, and they're going to sneak up there. But I think Florida State's really good. You mentioned Washington and Oregon, both really good. In fact, the Pac-12 all season supposedly has been the best conference in football in terms of competitiveness. So don't disagree with any of it.
No.
And like you said, it's going to play itself out over the next 3 or 4 weeks, and there'll be less drama every week in terms of how who's in the top 4 because someone's going to lose. But this is the great time of the year. One of the best parts of the season is when they first announce that college football playoff ranking, and we all get to talk about it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. There'll definitely be a lot of movement on that list. But yeah, definitely going to be interesting as we work our way through the season and head towards January when all the bowls and certainly the playoffs take place. So we'll continue talking about that. But yeah, I agree. What they have right now seems perfectly sensible to me. So Mike, let's go ahead and jump into Notre Dame and Ohio State. I'll start with Notre Dame. Today they're away versus Clemson. That'll be on the road. For the Irish, they'll take on Clemson at noon. I have them on another upset alert. Clemson is kind of reeling a little bit, but boy, it would make their season to upset Notre Dame. And, Clemson's one of those weird teams. They're just not playing well. It's not like they don't have talent down there. They're just not playing well right now. And I could see them rising to the occasion and definitely playing well today against Notre Dame.
I absolutely agree. Teams are playing for, I guess, pride and bowl bids now, right? The January 1-6 bowl bids. But absolutely, I think Notre Dame better be on high alert.
Absolutely. And, you and I discussed off the air, I think Notre Dame's defense is elite. I think they've played absolutely fantastic this year. Neither side of the ball played well against Louisville, but I think Notre Dame's defense has reached the elite level, especially the defensive backfield. And, the depth on Notre Dame has totally changed under Marcus Freeman, and that was a problem under Brian Kelly. He had a starting 11, but if one of those players went down, they were in trouble, and I think that was shown in that 2018 semifinal game against Clemson when Julian Love got hurt, and I don't mean to pick on Dante Vaughn, but when Vaughn came in the game, they went right at him, and Clemson immediately scored, and the game just changed at that point. It was a defensive battle, but that depth problem was the problem under Brian Kelly, and I think Marcus Freeman has changed that. Now, they're not elite yet on offense, but I think Notre Dame's getting closer, and of course, that's a Notre Dame fan maybe wishing a little bit, but I think they're getting closer, Mike, and certainly I think the defense has reached that level.
Yeah, I agree. I think the future is bright and nowhere to go, but up and forward for Notre Dame with Marcus Freeman in charge there. Obviously, a very promising young coach at an elite level who's from Dayton, Wayne High School in Dayton. I went to Ohio State, and Marcus Freeman is the man at Notre Dame, and I hope he does lead them.
Yeah, I do too.
Into the promised land here, and they're and when we're going to 12 teams next year with the playoff format, obviously, and I think that automatically puts, given what we've seen so far and where they're headed, I think that automatically puts Notre Dame in the conversation, and you can expect them to be a part of it year over year. But the problem that they're going to have to solve is their schedule.
Yeah.
And when you look at these super conferences that are forming and some of the schedules that are coming out now that where Ohio State's going to be playing, Michigan, USC, Washington, all in the same year, just as part of their conference schedule, Notre Dame's going to have to figure out something kind of step it up a little bit and be able to match, those bigger conferences in terms of their schedule strength. Do you agree?
Oh yeah, that's going to be a gauntlet for Ohio State, certainly going forward when those other teams join the conference.
Well, Texas and Oklahoma going to the SEC. I mean, it's the same thing
Crazy.
there.
Yeah.
It's just something that Notre Dame's going to have to figure out, and I think becomes a bigger deal starting next year with all these super conference games that are going on.
Well, Notre Dame's remaining schedule, again, today at Clemson. They'll have a bye on the 11th of November. Then they'll be home versus Wake Forest on the 18th. And then they'll wrap up their regular season schedule against Stanford on the road. That's the Thanksgiving weekend on the 25th. So, Mike, let's go ahead and head into Ohio State here. They were at Wisconsin last week, took care of business. It wasn't a pretty game necessarily, but Ohio State pulled away kind of in the latter parts of that ball game. They'll take on Rutgers on the road today at noon. They're favored by 18.5, but it was a gutty win against Wisconsin, and I think it's indicative of what Ohio State is this year. They're just a tough team, scrappy, and they just get it done.
They do, and I mentioned it last Saturday morning when we spoke, and I'll say it now, especially after what we saw Saturday night. TreVeyon Henderson's a difference maker. I mean, that dude has a gear that none of the other Ohio State running backs have. Now, Mine Williams got hurt and is unlikely going to play today. I don't know how long he's going to be out. But Henderson's back and healthy. And, he is elite. I mean, at the national college level, he can really do it. And he's a difference maker, both running the ball and catching the ball and running it after he catches it. I mean, he's got a level, or he's got a gear that a lot of guys don't have. And, he's going to make a huge difference to that offense, and probably help Kyle McCord along the way. Obviously, with him and his confidence and what he's able to do. And so, and we've talked about it all year so far, and everybody else has as well. The defense is top, 2 or 3 in the country. So, if that offense can keep coming along, Tim, and Henderson stays healthy, and Marvin Harrison, there's serious talk now about him being invited to New York for the Heisman Trophy presentation. I mean, you look at his stats and what he's done the last four games.
Wouldn't shock me at all.
Well, not only is he racking up yards, catches, and touchdowns, but he's making spectacular catches, right? I mean, he's not just, but he's spectacular. And so you put all that together, and you look ahead, and Ohio State with a couple quote-unquote warm-up games before they get to Michigan. I personally am starting to feel a lot better about them, I can tell you that. And it's kind of funny to even say that when you look at where they ended up in the college football rankings. But I'm personally feeling a lot better about their chances and what they can do ultimately when we get to the Michigan game.
Well, and I'm going to be a little bit repetitive here, but Ohio State has they've done what they've had to do. They have won the games that were close. They gutted those out. They pulled that victory out at Notre Dame. So yeah, you're right. They've absolutely done what they've had to do, and they got a chance to improve even a little bit more on, quote unquote, maybe a couple of gimmies here. But yeah, I mean, Ohio State has put themselves in the driver's position, and they should be number one, and they are. So
yeah, the win against Penn State was kind of solidified their standing. And then I think that game at Wisconsin, that's not an easy place to go in there and play.
It is not.
And a win there was a quality win. I know Wisconsin now has 3 losses, but there's another program with the new coach I think is on the come as well. And I think they're going to be back every year. We're going to be talking about them with Luke Fickell. And but that was an impressive win. Yeah, not a lot of teams go into Wisconsin on Saturday night and play in front of those crazy fans and win. And that was Ohio State found a way. And again, TreVeyon Henderson was 100% the difference.
Well, it's the program. I've said it to you before. The Ohio State program just knows how to win, and I said that after the Notre Dame game. Notre Dame appeared to be on their way to victory in that game, but Ohio State knows how to win those games. And right now, in Notre Dame's past, yeah, they did. But right now, Notre Dame just does not know how to win those games. And I think they will, but, Ohio State just came away with a victory. That's a program win, and it's one I think that sets Ohio State apart from other teams. But Ohio State will be home versus Michigan State on the 11th. They'll be at home versus Minnesota on the 18th, and then of course that sets up the huge battle at Michigan on the 25th, which will be that Thanksgiving weekend.
There have been seasons in the past. We're going into the game, a few of them where Ohio State and Michigan were 1 and 2 in the country. That might be the case with this one. And then you throw all the cheating scandal and drama behind it. That game, that is one of the most anticipated right now. Things can change between now and that weekend, but that is one of the most anticipated Ohio State Michigan games in recent memory, if not maybe ever, if things stay the way they are right now.
Yeah. Well, Mike, let's go ahead and head into a little pro football here. I think, at least from my perspective, I think one thing that you can gather so far from pro football is that it's completely unpredictable. I mean, it's just unbelievable.
Any given Sunday. Yeah, any given Sunday.
I mean, it's absolutely crazy. But I thought maybe since we're about in the midseason of the pro schedule, maybe we'd give a little midseason grades to our favorite teams, the Bengals. I would probably give the Bengals maybe a C+ or a B- right now. I think the last few weeks certainly they have gotten better and have shown their true colors. I think a little bit. Joe Burrow seems to be healthy again. He was almost perfect against San Francisco last week, and that was the Joe Burrow that we were certainly hoping was going to start the season, but he was absolutely fantastic. I don't know if you had a chance to catch any of that game, Mike.
Oh, I did. Absolutely. I watched it because I think the Browns and Bengals played opposite of each other or in terms of their time slots. And, he was like maybe the best week any quarterback had all season in terms of how accurate it was throwing the ball. And then he got back to his old form of being able to convert third downs by running the ball. And that's a great sign for Bengals and the Bengals fans. And I think they are back to kind of where they were at the end of last season and are very, very dangerous. Hopefully, for their benefit, those early losses don't come back to haunt them.
Absolutely.
Right. But, there's no reason to believe they can't. Now, winning the division is going to be a major challenge, possible, but playoffs are very possible. And I think 10 wins is not out of the realm of possibility here in the playoffs as far as I can see in terms of. Now, they do have the second toughest schedule down the stretch in the league.
Yeah, I was going to go over that here.
The Ravens have the toughest. But the Bengals have the second toughest just in terms of how the teams look today. And so it's not going to be easy, but, they can do it. There's no doubt about that. They have the tools and, the players and everything and the experience, of course, to make that run.
Yeah, they'll be at the Bills at home tomorrow. And
2.5. I think they're 2.5 point favorites right at home.
Yeah.
Which you automatically get 3 points just for being at home. So odds makers think the Bills are going to come in there and give them a really good game, and that's certainly possible, right?
Next week they'll take on the Texans also at home, and they're after that their remaining schedule, as you mentioned, is just a gauntlet. Right. They'll have the Ravens away, Steelers at home, Jaguars away, Colts at home, Vikings at home, Steelers away, Chiefs away, and then they play the Browns again at home. So, I mean, just a tough, really difficult schedule.
Yeah, speaking of the Steelers, how do they do it? I mean, they're the 30th ranked defense in the league. They have no quarterback. He played the other night. He was like 10 for 25 for 110 yards or some ridiculous number. and they keep winning. I just don't understand how they're doing it. You got to believe sooner or later that's going to catch up to them, right?
It's crazy. I don't know how they won, and I also don't. I can't remember what was the score of that game, like 20-14 or 20
Yeah,
to.
the Steelers scored a touchdown late to go up 4, and that meant that Tennessee had to go down and score a touchdown, and Will Levis threw an interception at the end to finish it. But I just don't understand how they're winning. I mean, their offense is not good. Their defense is the 30th ranked defense in the league, like I said, and they're 5-2. I mean, you talk about a team that does just enough to win and knows how to win. I guess the Steelers might be your best example down in the NFL.
It is crazy, and what also is crazy. This is totally unrelated to the football on the field, obviously. Is I think the line on that was 3.5.
Right. Yeah.
And how in the world did they get so close on those? It's
That's a whole other
unbelievable.
conversation.
It's
Yeah, that's a whole other
absolutely
conversation.
unbelievable.
Yeah, that's a whole other conversation. But it is unbelievable how accurate Vegas is. I mean, ultimately, their goal is to take equal action on both sides of the ball, right? And
Yeah.
so that they win half of the bet plus the what they call it,
The
juice.
juice.
Yeah. But they come so close time and time again. I think they're close more often with the over/under number than they are with the actual spread. But it's absolutely uncanny how close they become. It's almost like they have, now that I think about this, with AI, they may have really sophisticated ways of looking at games.
That's true. That's a good point.
Right. I mean, they may have some really, really sophisticated ways of modeling games with a million different data points and coming out with results that may get more and more accurate over the course of time than they have been up to this point.
Yeah. Well, Mike, we'll head into the Browns now. I hate to pour salt in the wound, but Browns were leading 20-17 in the fourth quarter. Walker throws an interception. It set up a game-winning touchdown drive by the Seahawks. 52 yards, 5 plays, and a 9-yard touchdown screen pass to Jackson Smith and Jigba. It looked like the Browns were on their way to victory, and contrary to what you just talked about with the Steelers, they find a way to win, and it seems like right now the Browns are finding a way to lose.
Well, that game, they had 2 previous games that they won at the end. The missed field goal by the 49ers was the one, but they don't even get me started with this past Sunday because it was brutal. There's so many things you can look at in that game. Now they are playing with an XFL quarterback, right? He has the lowest rated QBR in the NFL. He's not very good. So you have to ask yourself, why did they pass the ball on that third down conversion, a 3rd and 3 third down conversion attempt inside, a little bit inside their own territory? Why did they try to throw the ball there? That's been the big question a lot of Cleveland fans have been asking all week. But he also threw an interception earlier in the game and fumbled the ball earlier in the game. He had 3 turnovers. I mean, so you can't do that. And then you ask, okay, turnover, Seattle's ball at the 20 or 25, whatever it was. Why did the defense fold like they did? What did they change about how they were playing defense that allowed Seattle to move the ball down the field like they did? That's a really tough thing to do, is go out on the West Coast. The Bengals did it, but go out on the West Coast, go to Seattle and win. And the Browns had it right in the palm of their hand.
Yeah.
All they needed was one more first down, and they'd likely win that game. Their odds of winning would go way, way up anyway.
Yeah.
And they couldn't do it. They asked an XFL quarterback to make what may end up being the biggest pass attempt of the year, and he bounces it off a player's helmet. So
crazy.
That was a tough one to swallow. But you have to figure it out. What you did wrong, why you did it, learn from it, move forward. And luckily this week they have the Cardinals. Browns are 8 or 8.5 point favorites. Cardinals just traded Joshua Dobbs. They're going to be starting probably a rookie quarterback nobody's heard of. So hopefully that'll be the medicine that the Browns need to get better after last Sunday, and they can stay in the thick of things with the win tomorrow. I'll be watching. But
what grade would you excuse me, Mike, what grade would you
Yeah,
give the
yeah.
Browns so far?
I mean, the expectations have been were great coming into the season. The defense is one of the best, if not the best, in the league. But
Agreed.
they've had to deal with no quarterback. So, I'd say given what we all expected of them before the season started and where they are right now, playing without a quarterback, I'd go C plus. I mean, I really can't go much higher than that. C
Yeah,
plus is
I
my
would
grade.
agree with you, and I definitely agree about the defense. Their defense is excellent, and I think if they can figure out that quarterback problem or get Watson back, I still think the Browns are going to be a threat if they can find a way to get into the playoffs. They're definitely someone a team to keep an eye on. Certainly,
Yeah,
anytime you have a defense like that, Mike, you're going to be a threat.
yeah, they did have one injury on the defensive side to a starter, and one injury on the offensive side to a starter, which may affect them a little bit tomorrow. If the offensive line injury, Dewan Jones, the Ohio State rookie, if he can't play, that's their second starting offensive lineman they'll be down. But again, playing the Cardinals it might help all of that. But yeah, if they can stay healthy and the defense is, it's great. It's a great defense, and heading down the stretch, I said it earlier when talking about college football or high school. I think you want to be able to play really, really good defense down the stretch and into the playoffs, and you want to be able to run the ball. And I think the Browns are the leading. I'm pretty sure they lead the league in running the ball, and they have one of the top two or three defenses in the league. So those are good signs.
Yeah, losing Chubb was a killer.
Oh
He's
boy, yeah,
so good, and
yep.
hopefully he comes back and doesn't miss a beat. But certainly not having him hurts as well. But Mike,
Sure.
let's go ahead and jump into yes, no, maybe. That's the segment of the show when I make a statement, and you let me know if you agree, you do not agree, or possibly agree. That was what yes, no, maybe is. And here's my first question to you, Mike. The loser of the Ohio State Michigan game will fall out of the top four.
Maybe. Um, that's a maybe because it depends. To me, it depends a lot on what happens around them and two other teams. And uh, it's also so I say maybe because it's very possible that they won't if both teams are undefeated at the time. But I think it's maybe for me because I don't, it's unpredictable what's going to be happening around them to the other teams that are ranked above or below, right?
Yeah, I agree with you totally. And I think that maybe they both would stay in the top four, especially at that point if they're 1 and 2. I think it depends too on what kind of game it is. If it's an absolute slobber knocker and somebody wins on a last second field goal, then I think they both may stay still in that top four. But if one of them blows the other out, I think that other team might fall out. I don't know if you agree with that.
Yeah, I do. I do.
Okay.
But I think there's enough uncertainty surrounding all of that to say maybe, right?
Yeah.
Given what you just asked me, but I agree with you. It's possible, and I don't think either team is going to falter between now and then. They'll probably be at worst number one versus number three when that game happens. This is a very similar scenario to what happened last year. Michigan
Yeah.
beat Ohio State in the last game of the season, but both teams got into the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
And so this is a very similar scenario.
Gonna be fun.
And yeah, it's going to be fun. But college football in general is better when the really good teams are really good, right? Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, Notre Dame. When the high-profile teams are really good,
No
kind of
doubt.
battling it out. The whole sport is a
Yeah.
better place.
Next statement, Mike. The San Francisco 49ers are the best team in the NFL. I think,
Absolutely not.
yeah, I
Yeah,
think
no,
like two
absolutely.
weeks ago you may say yes.
Well, yeah, 3 weeks ago they lost 3 games now, right? The
Yeah.
Browns kind of started that downfall when the 49ers missed that late field goal in Cleveland. And so I'm going to go with absolutely not. And who is? Good question.
Yeah.
But it's not the 49ers, not after the last 3 weeks, no.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that. You're right. 3 weeks ago, I probably would have said differently. They
Yeah,
out of the gates, they looked absolutely fantastic. But
unstoppable.
and it just goes to show you the defensive minds in the NFL. How good they are at their jobs because they kind of figured them out a little bit, maybe. But
Yeah.
just fantastic the way things change from week to week in the NFL. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, Jim Schwartz and the Cleveland defense might have given the
Yeah.
ensuing teams the blueprint for how to slow them down or making things hard on Brock Purdy. Now, losing Debo Samuels in that Browns game didn't help. They didn't have McCaffrey, I don't think, the week after that. He was back. But,
Yeah.
it really is shocking how fast a team can fall from the top in the NFL. And 3 weeks later, they got 3 losses. And, they're not even in first place in their own division, by the way. So,
One of the major reasons I think, Mike, why the Bengals won that game last week is they seemed to take Bosa out of the game. He's always there. He's always a great player,
absolutely.
but he was not a difference maker in that game.
No, defense in general for the 49ers was not
Yeah.
good. Obviously not good enough to win. And Joe Burrow had a field day and against that defense. So they've got some tinkering to do to get back to where they were at. They probably will. But again, not even in the driver's seat in their own division now. So we'll see.
Yeah. Okay, Mike, next statement. Clemson is no longer an elite football program.
Absolutely not. Why? There's a lot of speculation and conjecture out there. Dabo Swinney has not been real fond of dabbling in the NIL part of the game, and they are not up there anymore, Tim. And he got a little bit challenged by a caller on his coach's show earlier this week, and he took the kid. He called him a kid. I don't think it was, but he took the caller to task pretty forcibly, and that made national news, and everybody heard that. And so maybe Dabo's feeling a little bit of pressure, but they are not, Tim. They are not. No.
Yeah. I'm going to say maybe. I think they have a lot of talent there, and I would totally agree with you. He does not like the portal, and I think unless he wants to kind of adapt a little bit in that realm, then I would definitely agree with you that they are no longer an elite football program. I think today will probably, I don't think it'll answer all the questions, but boy, if they find a way to beat Notre Dame, which would absolutely just destroy my world, I think that he would calm things a little bit, but I'm kind of on the fence. I think I'm leaning like from maybe to no, but I'm not willing to totally count out Clemson at this point. But yeah, I agree with you. I think it's heading in that direction.
You're only saying that because they're playing Notre Dame today.
No, I really I see a lot of talent there. They're just not playing well. I don't think the quarterbacks for Klubnik is. I don't think he is as good as advertised. Now he's welcome to prove everybody wrong, certainly, but he's struggling, and that hurts him certainly. But we'll see.
Yeah, if you think, it wasn't all that long ago. People were talking about how Clemson was going to dominate the ACC forever, but the times have changed.
Oh, absolutely. And Mike, final one for me today, Mike. Michigan will be banned from the 2023 playoffs.
Had this conversation earlier in the week with somebody, and I just don't know if the NCAA can act fast enough. And I don't think the Big Ten has the big enough kahunas, nor can they do it legally to ban them. I kind of want to say maybe, but I'm just going to go with no because I just think there's not enough time for, to put all the chips on the table and to find out the truth and make a decision like you suggested. Joel Klatt said. So I'm going to go no.
Yeah, I am too. I don't think they'll come up with anything quickly enough. I think they're going to make it, but I think when things,
Yeah, hey Tim, though I think something's going to happen. I think a Harbaugh suspension is very possible. Um, but if you ask me that question, would Jim Harbaugh be suspended this season? I would say yes to that,
yeah,
but I don't think there's enough time, and maybe not even enough of a crime, if you want to call it that. I put it in quotes because it's not illegal, but maybe not enough wrongdoing here by Michigan to justify a ban
yeah.
of the playoffs. Right? We don't know that yet, but I do think, and I think I would say yes to the question: will Jim Harbaugh be suspended? I think that's very possible.
Yeah, I would agree with all your assessments on that one. I don't think they'll be banned from the playoffs this year, but I do see possibly a Harbaugh being suspended, and you know, I think a lot of it is going to happen after the fact, unfortunately. But I can see why a lot of coaches, especially Big Ten coaches, are upset and uh, and want action. The country wants action, but I agree. I just don't think it can happen quick enough. But
Yeah.
Mike, before we get into our picks for the week, just wanted to give you an update on that. In college, after last week, you are 15-12. I am
Not bad.
13-14. And in the pros, you are 14-17, and I am 19-12. So,
Wow. You
so
you need to start getting into the gambling side of the business there, Tim, on the NFL.
uh,
19-12 is excellent.
I don't know. As soon as I do that, it goes to hell.
Yeah,
So
you'll lose, you'll start losing. Yeah.
yeah. So, anyways, that's where we stand on that. Before we kind of wrap up the show, though, we'll do the picks, but also wanted to do helmet stickers from last week. And
Right.
I am actually going to go homer call again here by me, but I'm going to go with Xavier Watts again from Notre Dame. I mean, he just had another unbelievable game against Pittsburgh. Three tackles, two interceptions, one tackle for a loss in the 58-7 victory. He has six interceptions on the season, one forced fumble, and 39 total tackles. And he is getting some accolades across the country, but I'm going to give a helmet sticker again to Xavier Watts, Notre Dame.
Yeah, he's a stud. He's a first team All American for sure, and he can make a difference in a game and actually win a game for you, and did last week. I'm going to go with Jordan Travis, the Florida State quarterback. Last week, Florida State just hammered Wake Forest 41-16. FSU, where they ranked fourth in the college football
They
rankings.
are
Is that correct?
correct.
Yeah. So Jordan Travis, their quarterback, if you haven't heard of him, last week was 22 for 35 for 369 yards, an average of over 10 yards per completion for three touchdowns in Florida State's win over Wake, who wasn't terrible. So, if you're wondering why Florida State is so highly ranked and you haven't seen them play, there's one of your big reasons is that quarterback is really good, and he gets a Coach Fresh helmet sticker this week.
Well, and he's got one for me too. He's filling up the
He has,
helmet, so
he has,
he
yeah,
is
he
a
has, yeah,
fantastic player. And I think Florida State's good, but without him, they wouldn't be nearly as good. He is
yeah.
fantastic.
He has really kind of surfaced this season, and I didn't get a whole lot of national preseason hype, but he's proven his worth now and raising some eyebrows for sure.
All right, Mike, I have a handful of games picked out for our college and pros picks. In the college ranks, we're going to go with the Michigan Purdue game. Michigan is favored by 32 and a
Oh,
half. That
yeah,
one, that is at Purdue, and it's on NBC tonight at 7:30. 32 and a
yeah.
half.
Why is that game on TV? Um, National TV, no less. Yeah, Michigan's going to win that game, and those kids got to feel pretty motivated about what's going on right now, right? In defense
Yeah,
of
they
their
probably want to prove
their
something.
coach. Probably want to prove something. It's them against the world right now, and for Purdue, sacrificial lamb. That's going to be ugly.
Yeah, I'm even with that kind of line. I'm going to go with Michigan as well. So we're both on Michigan in that one. Ohio State at Rutgers. Ohio State favored by 18.5. That's on CBS at noon.
Yeah, let's take Ohio State and lay those big points because I feel like the return of Travion Henderson is going to make that offense that much better. And good luck to Rutgers even trying to score. So I see Ohio State winning that game something like 35-7, 35-10. That's an easy cover for the Buckeyes, I believe.
I agree. I mean, it's you look at that line and you're kind of enticed to go the other way, but I just with Ohio State's defense, and I agree with you with the uh, Ohio State's chance to just kind of roll and get the offense going. I agree with you. They're going to win big in that one.
Yeah.
Third game, Washington at USC, 7:30 game, ABC. Washington is -4.
Which was a little bit of a surprise to me. And maybe USC can bounce back just a little bit here and get some, a little bit of pride back in this game. But I'm going to go with Washington. I'm going to pick the Huskies as the favorite in this game, -4. That's not a big number, and they're motivated now. Number 5 on the outside looking in. I think they win and cover against the Trojans today.
I'm going to go with USC just for fun, just to do something different between the two
I
of
know.
us. But
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
I kind of have a feeling, who knows? Washington's very good. It wouldn't surprise me at all if they cover, but I think USC might bounce back a little bit here. They have really struggled the last handful of weeks, starting with that Notre Dame game. I think Notre Dame may have ruined their season, but I look for USC maybe to bounce back and cover. Maybe Washington wins on a field goal or something, but we'll see what happens in that one. But just for fun, I'll go with USC.
Yep.
We're also going to go with the Alabama LSU game. I think this is along with the Clemson game. Although Clemson is not having a great season, I think the Alabama LSU game might be maybe the premier game of the week. That's a 7:45 game on CBS.
Absolutely is. Yeah.
Alabama is -3.5, Mike.
Yeah, absolutely the premier game this week, and will garner most of the attention from the national audience, just because it's a really good rivalry, right?
Yeah.
And your boy Brian Kelly trying to knock off Nick Saban. It seems like every time they meet, he gets out coached, and and they lose. So, what was the line again?
I mean, Alabama's -3.5.
I'm going to keep my trend going here. I'm going to keep taking the favorites. I'm going to take the favorite again and give LSU the points. And like I said really early on in this conversation, that Alabama's out there at number 7 or 8 in the country, lurking in the weeds. Just ready to pounce, and they are motivated, I'm sure. And I think they'll come out and probably do well against LSU and cover that point spread.
Yeah, I believe that one is at LSU. But I agree with you. They'll be fired up, but I think Alabama's going to hammer them. I think Alabama will win big in that one. So I'm going to go with Alabama as well, -3.5. And final one, of course, Mike, is Notre Dame at Clemson. I'm going to go with Notre Dame just because I have to, but they're -2.5. That one's also at noon. And I think the fact that game is at noon may help Notre Dame a little bit. I think an atmosphere at night at Clemson is a little worse. I'm going to look for Notre Dame to cover that one. That might be a heart pick, but I'll go with Notre Dame.
Yeah, I think you're right. I like the Irish and how they've been playing with a lot of confidence, looking a lot better. Clemson's going the opposite direction, in my opinion. It's a difficult job to kind of playing a game where there's really only bragging rights that you have at hand. But I'm going to stick with it, man. Why break the pattern now? I'm going to go with the favorite here and take Notre Dame and give Clemson the points. And if Notre Dame wins, it's going to be by more than that margin. So I'm going to go with the Irish as well.
Yeah,
sorry, we're taking so many of the same teams.
That's a good point. And we'll before we wrap up, Mike, we'll go quickly through the pro games this week. We're going to do the Bills at the Bengals. I have Bengals -2. I don't know if these lines have changed at all, But if you know, let me know. But I have Bengals -2 at home versus the Bills.
Yeah, I'm looking at DraftKings, DraftKings, the website, or actually the app I have on my phone. By the way, I can't bet in Florida because it's not legal down here yet, so I'm saving money.
Yeah,
But
don't get in trouble while you're down there.
the Bengals, the phone app doesn't. The phone app knows where you're at. It won't even let you try.
That's
The
unbelievable.
yeah, no, the Bengals are 2 still, Tim, and they're on a roll, man.
Yeah.
Why, the Bills are not. I mean, they should have lost last week. So, Bengals, man, who dey?
Yeah, you and I are both on that one. Cardinals at Browns. Browns -7.5.
Yeah, I think that moved up to. Oh my God, it's 11.5 now. I
Oh,
think
my Lord.
because, well, I think what you saw was the opening line before they traded Josh Dobbs, and so since you saw that spread, they traded Josh Dobbs, and they
Okay.
announced they're going to start that rookie quarterback nobody's heard of. I think he's a rookie. So it's now 11.5. So you want to go with the 7.5 or the 11.5?
Let's go with the 11.5. Make it more exciting. That's a big spread.
That's a big number in the NFL, isn't it?
It is.
But that Browns defense is capable of shutting the Cardinals out, right?
And they're terrible.
I'm going to jinx myself or unjinx myself or whatever. I'm going to take the Cardinals
Okay.
points.
All right. I'm going to go with the Browns.
Yeah, there you go.
I think they're going to blow them out. Seahawks at Ravens. Ravens are -5.5.
Yeah. Man, Seahawks have been pulling some games out and playing well. They should have lost last Sunday to Cleveland, but Baltimore's on a roll. I don't know. I guess the Seahawks they have to come full across the country. That's a tough ask. Time change and everything. I thought myself into taking the Ravens in that game, Tim.
You're going to take the Ravens? Okay.
Yeah.
Boy, that's a tough one. The Ravens they're good. They're just unpredictably good. They could blow them out, or they could, win by a field goal.
Yeah, there is some unpredictability in them for sure.
Just for fun for you and I'm going to go with the Seahawks.
All right.
And
I'm so good at these NFL picks, You should go against me every single game.
And then I think we'll wrap it up for the pros with a very intriguing game, I think. Cowboys at Eagles. Eagles -3.
Yeah, that's the game everybody's going to be watching, right? Cowboys at Eagles?
Correct.
And they're playing well, aren't they? The Eagles have been just kind of there. We'll take Cowboys. We'll take the Cowboys on the road in Philadelphia. Why not?
All right. I'm going to go with the Eagles. I just think the Eagles are playing well. You're right. They've been kind of vanilla, but I think the Eagles are going to take care of the Cowboys.
Well, it's going to be a good one.
Yeah, and
I wish both teams could lose, but that's not possible. So.
Yeah, there are often times where I feel that way. There's a lot of teams that I'd like to see them both lose, but that's not possible, unfortunately. But anyways, that's going to wrap it up for us today, Mike. Enjoyed the conversation.
Great.
Certainly appreciate you calling in down in Florida. And I hope you have a great rest of your day. You're going to fly back tomorrow?
Flying back late tomorrow. Be back in town, and Monday I'll be back at it. Head to practice Monday night, my first one of the year. The guys are looking pretty good, I heard, and I'm looking forward to starting high school basketball season, Tim, formally.
Absolutely. You are a coach on the assistant coach on the team, but then you join me for the broadcast for basketball, and we always have a great time doing those games as well.
Yep.
All right, folks, that's going to wrap it up for us today. Do us a favor on your way out, hit that subscribe button. That'll help us out, and we'll be able to, we want to do more here, but we need your help. So subscribe if you get a chance, and we appreciate you joining the show, and we'll be back with you next weekend. Enjoy the sports this weekend. Have a great, relaxing time, and we'll catch up with you next week. And Mike, again, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Tim. It was great. And so long, everybody.
Have a great weekend, all. We'll see you next Saturday.